Well, a pleasant good afternoon and welcome to Cloud.Nine on ACT and The Voice. I am Sheldon Yearwood and thank you for joining us. Lots to share with you today on the program. And yes, we are in the Christmas season. People are asking me when we're going to see the movies. Just now, hold on, you're going to see them soon and so much more. Just stay tuned to ACT and The Voice. Now, I'm going to give you an update on what's happening at the San Fernando Methodist Primary School. As you know, you'd have seen our post on our Facebook page has been shared quite several times, as a matter of fact, by concerned individuals, whether they're attached to the school or not. I think the nation has really responded to what's happening at the school there. So what we're going to do, we're going to go straight now to our Wise Up segment. I'm going to actually show you that interview of what transpired at the school on Monday. And then I'm going to give you an update of what is happening right now. From the secretary of the PTA. She contacted me rather this morning, and I will tell you exactly what's happening at the school today. Let's go to a Wise Up segment at this time. All right, so this interview was conducted at the school on Monday morning with a concerned parent after a teacher who was suspended as a result of a charge of alleged sexual misconduct. Well, the said teacher was reinstated on Monday, and this is what the parent had to say. The peace of God is the only thing keeping the parents and teachers of the San Fernando Methodist Primary School, because their peace was disturbed this morning. How and why, you may ask? Well, this is how and this is why. Good morning, good morning. Tell us about the circumstances, the recent developments at the Methodist Primary School.
Okay, the recent developments at the San Fernando Methodist School were, there was an incident about 3 to 4 years ago, and a certain teacher, was charged for the offense.
What was the offense? What the allegations?
The allegations were a child was molested in the school, right? And he was charged, taken out of the school. As a result, the child has dual citizenship for Trinidad and also abroad. So she flew back out of the country, and as a technicality, the case was thrown out, right? We found that the ministry had sent him back to our school. We heard that that was going to happen. So we started a protest. The ministry called us. They told us to stand down. The PTA president...
One question. Stand down. Right. Stand down, based on what grounds? What they're going to hold their hand? They're going to... What stand... Why did they say stand down?
Well, they told us to stand down because there was mediating between the ministry and the board to see if they could have something done, right? And they were supposed to get back to us, and that did not happen. We had stopped all protests in goodwill. We waited for the ministry to contact us. Up to date, no one had contacted us. And then this morning, on dropping children to school and dropping my children to school, I saw the individual in the school.
I can just imagine your facial expression at that point.
Heart started to skip beats. Thoughts started to flow through my head because, the incident was a very serious incident. He was charged, right? He was charged. And we wasn't notified that this was going to take place. Now, the safety of our children is very important, and to every single parent bringing their children to the school. And being the most senior teacher here, we don't have a principal right now. We have an acting principal. He will be put into the position of acting principal.
Because of his seniority?
Because of seniority, which makes the matter even more severe at hand. All right? And PTA board was now contacted, the PTA president, so we're actually formulating to have some things put into place between today and the few days to come to see what mechanism we could have put in place, because, like I said, we didn't get any response from the ministry, and we're just feeling left out right now.
I spoke to another member of the PTA prior to coming here, and I was told that some of the teachers already left the compound.
Yeah, some teachers started to walk out the compound this morning. I don't know if they were ill, I don't know what had transpired, but when I came, yeah, some teachers had left, and I don't know, following the days to come, what would be the turnout.
Well, I guess they probably got ill because of anyhow. I'll leave it there. Right. So at this point in time, the PTAs, they're mobilizing.
They're mobilizing.
Right.
As we speak, we are mobilizing right now. Parents are starting to show up by the school one by one because we are contacting whoever we have contact with, and we are asking parents to come out in their numbers from tomorrow because we would have to start back the protest. The ministry did not. Yeah, the ministry didn't keep their end of their bargain.
Because you all showed good faith, but based on what you're saying right now, they did not show good faith in terms of at least communicating with you all prior the reinstatement. I think that is another issue. So it shows some level of mistrust, and and the list is probably a long one as to, of course, why there's this level of mistrust. All right. So, but what has what else have you heard? Because I can just imagine those teachers who are there who maybe just decided to just hold their hand. I mean,
at the position we are at right now, it's very bad because at the PTA standpoint, I even heard parents saying that they're going to transfer the children out of the school. And if we have to get to that point, we'll have to take 250 children and find transfer places for them. And the ministry cannot find 250, approximately transfer places for these children here. So we are asking the ministry to mediate with us and don't let it get out of control because it's something that we totally against right now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Now, the update. So since that incident on Monday, parents have been coming one by one, taking their children out of the institution. As of this morning, the report that the secretary of the PTA for the school got from the supervisor who went to the school, of course, as a result of what has been reported, there were less than 20 children at the school this morning. That's right. So 20 or less at the school this morning. So the parents made good of their promise and, to some extension, their threat that they will take their children out of school. And as of this morning, I'm not sure what happened. That I got that call roughly like about 8:30 thereabout, 8:30, 9. There were 20 or less children at the school. And while she was speaking to me, I think they got another call on another line that 3 more parents were on their way to take their children out of the school. So by lunchtime, by now, we're not sure if it's going to be like a ghost town, right? So tomorrow, God's willing, they will be hosting a press conference in front of the school, and we'll keep you updated on that development as well, right here on Cloud.Nine. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, very, very interesting developments happening at the school in San Fernando. Right. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to shift our attention to some politics again. That's right. And this time, we're taking a look at the PNM 47th convention that took place over the weekend. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The devil's the accuser of the brethren. And he hates marriage because marriage is the image of God. He hates marriage because it's the most sacred institution on earth. God created marriage in Genesis chapter 1. It is the first institution he ever created, and it's the foundation for every other institution on earth. And he's a strategist. He understands if he can destroy marriage, he can destroy all of society.
All right, and welcome back. At this time, let's go to our Let's Chat segment right here on Cloud.Nine. Okay, so the Prime Minister, who we're going to start things off, he made it very clear that there needs to be a restrictive approach to government spending in order to improve the country's financial standing. Now, just as you know, there was a situation in the airport this weekend where the immigration officers did not show up for work. It wasn't a protest. They just did not show up for work. Right, good. So, and he made the point, this is what, and those who agree, those who don't agree with him, obviously, making the point that in the position that our country is in at this time, he would expect that the people would come together and rally around each other instead of trying to cripple the country even further because of where we are financially. He also made the point that the government has been borrowing money to pay salaries. And these are things that the public needs to understand and come together instead of trying to divide and conquer. But of course, sometimes when we try to divide and conquer, we do more than we end up conquering and destroying our own self, right? So it's like you're plundering your own yard or your own home. That is what happens sometimes in this whole thing about divide and conquer, and that is what he's alluding to. So let's hear what the Prime Minister had to say at the convention that took place on Sunday. Just about 20 minutes or so. Obviously can't show the entire thing, it's very long. Just about the first 20 minutes to give you an idea of where the Prime Minister was coming from.
It is always with a deep feeling of humility and great expectation that I look forward to the excitement of meeting, greeting, and addressing you at our party's annual convention. This, the 40th of which we have embarked on today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been on this journey since Dr. Williams, our first Prime Minister, guided us to want independence and to undertake to act responsibly for the future. And he did so at a time when the annual budget was less than $200 million. Since then, we have come a long way and have made significant progress in most areas. It has not always been smooth, but we have ups and downs. We've had our good times and our not so good times. But on every occasion, we have demonstrated an ability and a willingness to rise to the challenges, and this time is no different. As I pondered on the nation's current adverse economic circumstances under which I am preparing the address for today, my spirit persisted in engaging me in the words of wisdom of renowned international philosophers of yesteryear, which stubbornly reverberated in my mind. Plato reminded me of the old saying, and it's this: adversity is the mother of invention. Plato also reminded us to be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. What deep and meaningful words. Words that we can emulate on the distance. I was also reminded of the words of the first century poet that Roman poet Horace, who since his time in the 1st century had this to say. He said, adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which in prosperous circumstances would have lain dormant. If ever Trinidad and Tobago needed to embrace these legendary words of wisdom, that time is now, right here, right now. For it is when rapidly declining economic conditions befall a people and times become hard that we draw on our precious reserves, pull from the wealth of our own illustrious past, and call forth the absolute best of our God-given competences, attributes of resourcefulness, of courage, of commitment, of dedication, creativity, and honesty. We reflect on the principles of life inherited from our parents and foreparents and draw as judiciously as we can from the abundance of their noble legacies. Legacies from which we can all benefit, especially under extenuating circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, prior to assuming office as your Prime Minister 2 years ago, I asked myself a series of searching questions. Here are 4 of the many questions I asked myself. The first was, how does a country deal with a can of worms and a bed of thorns uninterruptedly constructed for a people by a demitting, dishonored administration? The second question was, what happens when the new administration assumes governance, particularly during a period of unprecedented economic adversity? The third was, how does the leader of the new administration engineer his decision-making machinery? And the fourth question was, can Trinidad and Tobago benefit from seeing how other countries, other nations emerge successfully from similar political atrocities and political situations? Ladies and gentlemen, after deep and honest introspection and widespread consultations with worthy advisors, I arrived at a number of clear conclusions. First among them was that the road to strong economic recovery would be winding, elusive, treacherous, painstaking, and sometimes even lonely. Secondly, that it will require patience, tolerance, resilience, dexterity, and determination. Frequently, I am reminded of 2 other intellectually sound words of wisdom. One was written by Dow Konikan in his book, Wealth of All Africans, How Every African Can Live the Life of Their Dreams. And he had this to say: pride in your country should not come after your country becomes great. Your country becomes great because of your pride in it. The other was the wisdom written by the distinguished Ghanaian Nana Damour, and he said, Rome was not built in a day. A common statement we make from time to time under very appropriate circumstances. But we fail to appreciate that Rome was eventually built, he said. The question then was, if Rome was not built in a day, when was it built? And the answer, he said, it was built day by day. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are to emerge triumphantly out of the depths of economic adversity into which our society has been plunged, I am convinced that all of us are duty-bound to encourage one another to take fullest advantage of the opportunities presented by our harsh economic times. We must do so by maximizing the strength of character and the full potential of which each of us is capable. In other words, we must, as far as we are able to, convert adversity into opportunity, explore ways and means to do things differently, expediently, and expeditiously. In short, we have to learn to do more with less. A new society of Trinidad and Tobago beckons, and we must all join together in shaping and molding it into what it is to become. If we are to agree with these arguments and sentiments, then we need to embark on this journey by saying, the future begins today. As side by side, we make our journey towards the goal of sustainable development, so eloquently espoused by my colleague in the presentation of our nation's Vision 2030 plan, let us acknowledge but not harp on our shortcomings. Instead, let us capitalize and find hope on the progress which we have made and of which we are capable. The national assignment must be making progress toward prosperity. For 5 years and 90 days, we had exhibited the most painstaking degree of patience and tolerance, bearing upon our broken backs the ultimate in injustices and inequities inflicting upon a trusting nation. An unimaginable abomination that has left us frequently bowing our heads in shame and utter disgrace and wonderment. That is what we put out of office, and it's from there we look to create new hope. But on the other hand, we in the PNM know of one brand of governance, the brand that makes us free and proud. Free because we steadfastly honor the tenets of honesty, integrity, decency, and truth. And the truth is that it will make us free. And proud of who we are as a nation, what we represent, and above all, proud of our deep roots and unparalleled track record of achievements which have branded Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM the jewel of the Caribbean. PNM brand of governance is bountiful and beautiful to those who treasure forthrightness and who are not afraid of the facts as they exist. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to fight back, to restore our nation's honor, our nation's well-being, and our nation's integrity, and fix our nation's future. While the dissident attempt to rewrite history and frown on our restorative successes and fight among themselves in the forlorn hope of returning to resume their feeding frenzy and nefarious assault upon our treasury, PNM continues to march on, undeterred by their reckless machinations and their open and unbridled obstructionist behavior. The nation is fed up of their incredible lack of patriotism and abhors their unpalatable approach to parliamentary decorum and their debilitating display of undemocratic indulgences. Ladies and gentlemen, there has never been a more critical time than right now to focus on the PNM's roadmap to sustainable development. We have a plan to take us to 2030 and beyond. Vision 2030 is not only a PNM initiative, it is the nation's way forward, the assurance of an enhanced standard of living for all, irrespective of class, color, creed, race, or political persuasion. Vision 2030 knows no boundaries. It is saying to all and sundry, we have heard you. And working together, there is very little which we can't accomplish. So we say, like we have said, let's do this. And now the time has come to give our nation the chance it deserves, the chance to stand again on solid ground, full of confidence that the road ahead is focused and unambiguous, safe and in good hands, that there is opportunity for our young people to follow their dreams and set their sights on high, even in these less than favorable economic situations. Well then, you may ask, what makes the PNM so special? What makes the PNM so different that you will want to hear us and that you will want to stand with us? Ladies and gentlemen, here is your answer. The nation of Trinidad and Tobago was created, nurtured, and developed by the PNM, and now we have matured somewhat. Virtually every nation-building initiative worthy of emulation and adulation came forth from the PNM and some PNM initiative. We have dealt with great difficulty before, and we have made good our commitment to always put the national interest first above all other. We remain committed to those principles. Those who have followed can do no more than build on what is already there. Like Rome, this nation, which we all cherish, was not built in a day, but day by day, each day was a PNM success story. My dear fellow party members, fellow citizens, the skillful management of our current difficulties and the next generation of progress are in PNM hands. You don't have to figure it all out all at once or expect it to be perfect in one sitting. You just have to stay the course. Stay connected to the fundamentals of self-belief which have guided the PNM and the nation over the past half a century. Now more than ever, we need discipline. Now more than ever, we need to be tolerant. And certainly now more than ever, we need to be more productive. As members of the PNM, we often need to be reminded that we are part of a greater whole, that we are not alone in our aspirations for decent work with job security, industrial peace, justice, and equal opportunity for all. We are not alone. The entire nation aspires to all this. These are some of the great ideals for which we stand. We demonstrated that in our recent encounter called Spotlight, when we met at the Hyatt, and then that was prior to a national budget. We shared the stage with many a contrary view, confident in the rectitude of our cause and in the options that we have chosen and advanced to the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, from the first day we resumed office in 2015, your government has demonstrated diligence and prudence in the careful discharge of your mandate. We have championed the philosophy of sound fiscal management, which has resulted in our stabilizing this troubled economy. And we are now on the road to some measure of restoration, anticipating growth and sustainable development, spreading the burden of the inevitable adjustment equitably across all frontiers, bearably on all shoulders. Let us not live in fear. Let us not live in denial. Our economic challenges, which began to come into view in 2014, are not hidden in dark closets, nor are they insurmountable. Like so many other countries, they are there for all to see and to be acted upon. The one annoyance is that ours has been an exacerbated One, by the wild and wanton indiscretions of the previous UNC administration, who behaved like there was no tomorrow. In fact, it might very well be that they genuinely believe that there is no future for us as a people, and as such, they should grab as much as they can as quickly as they could before they take off. The PNM harbors no such thoughts. We believe and confidently assert that there is a bright future ahead for our nation, where there is opportunity for participation and advancement of our families and our communities. Yes, there might be fog over our economic situation. There might continue to be economic uncertainty in some quarters now, but this too can be defeated by that high bright sun called the resilient spirit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. One thing that may be a feature of our national character is how easily we forget. Let me remind the nation that soon after the 2015 budget was presented in October 2014, the period of prosperity began to recede. And by the turn of the year, there were calls for that budget to be immediately revised in response to rapidly declining prices for oil and gas, which we don't set. Those prices are set by the international marketplace. This development marked a period of intense curtailment in our revenues and significantly reduced our ability to sustain some patterns of expenditure to which we had become, and I dare say, to which we believe we are entitled.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the Minister of Planning and Development, Minister Camille Robinson-Regis.
Up my hand, from whence cometh my help? Cometh my help, cometh from
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9.
All right, and welcome back to Cloud.Nine on ACTN. So you just heard from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. We now turn our attention to the Minister of Planning and Development, Minister Camille Robinson-Regis, where she, turned her attention on many national issues, but also to the many detractors of the People's National Movement government. Let's turn our attention now to Minister Camille Robinson-Regis.
Thank you very kindly for that welcome. When I look out today at the several hundreds of you gathered here today who have come from far and wide, from all corners of Trinidad and Tobago, to be part of this, our 47th annual convention, I am reminded of the opening words of a psalm my mother taught me years ago, and one I am sure you will all identify with. Psalm 133. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to come together in unity. It is like precious oil upon the head. Indeed, it is good and pleasant for us to be together in this, the oldest political party in Trinidad and Tobago, the only true political party in Trinidad and Tobago. So as we gather here, the earth shakes in Trinidad. When we gather in our numbers like this, the country moves. And when we gather in convention, our opponents groan in pain. But I want to send a message to everybody who is opposed to us in the PNM. We shall not be moved. We have an agenda. We have a vision. Our vision is Vision 2030, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as our anthem says, we have boundless faith in our destiny. We have boundless faith in the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And as it was in 2002, when Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley began the process of Vision 2020, when he was Minister of Planning and Development, so it is today that we of the PNM have continued in government with Vision 2030. Vision 2020 was the most comprehensive strategic plan ever produced in Trinidad and Tobago. Over 600 citizens participated directly in developing Vision 2020. It was through the lens of Vision 2020 that policies such as GATE and the development of early childhood centers were implemented. And also, it was through the lens of Vision 2020 that we started the University of Trinidad and Tobago and the Tamina Intech Park. It was Vision 2020 that led us to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago was on the road to development. And ladies and gentlemen, join with me in welcoming our political leader, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley, back to join us at the afternoon session of today's convention.
Yo, yo, these are the biggest collab. Boom! When we touch down, you open shell down. 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 When you see we Juve morning, all we do is chip. Behind the truck Juve morning, we black and we green. See, all a girl inside a van, make she bend and stick. She job like we don't give a damn. We mad and we sick. Juve money ringing bell, moving shell down. When we touch down, we open shell down. When you see we Juve morning, all we do is chip, chip. Behind the truck Juve morning, we black and we green, sick. All a girl inside a van, make she bend and stick, shit. Job like we don't give a damn. We ma.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Dr. Rowley, his wife Sharon, and his daughter Tonya. Welcome back to the convention. As I told you, ladies and gentlemen, when we have our convention, the earth shakes. And when our political leader and his family come in, the earth shook. Didn't you all feel it, ladies and gentlemen? Since assuming office in September 2015, your sober government, led by a critical thinker in the person of our Prime Minister and comprising level-headed ministers, have resumed the process of planning and developing the future of Trinidad and Tobago. The result of this planning is the draft National Strategic Development Plan, also known as Vision 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, some of you may know that I laid this document in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago with the anticipation that we would be able to develop a joint select committee that would discuss this document and make it the national plan for Trinidad and Tobago. Some of you may know that countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Jamaica, all have national strategic development plans. And the thing that distinguishes them is that their parliaments have determined that whichever party is in power, that is the development plan for the country. But in Trinidad and Tobago, those who are opposed to us have determined that they will not appoint persons to the Joint Select Committee. And as a consequence of that, we have not been able to discuss the plan in the Parliament. But ladies and gentlemen, have no fear. Your PNM will not be sidelined. We have determined that come hell or high water, this is a proper development plan. And this is the plan that will take us to 2030, ladies and gentlemen. And in any event, you know and I know that it will be the PNM in government next 5 years, next 10 years, next 15 years to 2030. But what are the pillars on which Vision 2030 is grounded? The pillars are putting people first, nurturing people, our greatest asset, delivering good governance and service excellence, improving productivity through quality infrastructure and transportation, building competitive business, placing the environment at the center of social and economic development. Political leader, chairman of the PNM, as with every strategic plan, unless there are clearly defined baselines and benchmarks and milestones, we will not be able to effectively evaluate whether we are achieving our targets. To this end, each of the 5 pillars has a key result area with expected national outcomes. The key result of the first pillar, putting people first, is sustainable families and communities. And the national outcomes expected include an improved health delivery service, the enhanced effectiveness of the social safety net, and an improved affordable housing system, as well as a modern, relevant, quality, and accessible education and training system. With respect to housing, for example, the target is that by 2020, we would have distributed over 2,000 housing units per year, granted 1,000 loans at 2% interest rate, and another 1,000 loans at 5% interest rate. We are also targeting a 40% increase in the number of recreational facilities refurbished and constructed by 2020. Under the same pillar, special emphasis is being placed on the education system, and there are also clear deliverables. We expect that by 2020, 100% of our secondary schools will have been properly outfitted with IT labs. We also expect that the mean score for language arts at the SEA will move from 56 to 70, and the mathematics mean score will move from 63 to 67. We are also targeting a 20% increase in the number of secondary school students receiving 5 or more CSEC passes, inclusive of English and mathematics. The expected outcome for these two crucial subjects is to increase the pass rate from the 2016 rate of 20% for English to 80% by 2020, and from 54% to 75% for mathematics. Our objective is to engender a culture of education for all, but not just simplistically education that is measured and means something to the persons who are being educated. We have also determined that we must decide what are the specific areas that are best for Trinidad and Tobago as a developing country. And as a consequence of that, we have set aside which are the areas at university level that our people need to study in order for us to achieve developed country status by 2020. That is a simple snapshot of where we are headed. In the area of health and wellness, our objective is to reduce the non-communicable lifestyle diseases. Colum, you look good with that handbag. Our objective is to reduce the non-communicable lifestyle diseases of hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer from high to low by ensuring that we encourage lifestyle changes. Our vision is one that will see modern healthcare, properly equipped facilities, and all the technology necessary to provide first world medical attention to all citizens. It is a vision that will see our elderly being able to enjoy the comfort of their homes. A vision that, when realized, will see a modern and responsive judicial system, no longer plagued by seemingly interminable waiting times for justice. It certainly will not see a preliminary inquiry like that of the Piarco scandal, taking 17 years to commence in earnest. It will be a Trinidad and Tobago with a modern forensic science center and a fully functioning DNA base. Ladies and gentlemen, the successful implementation of Vision 2030 will see our children being able to secure sustainable, high-paying jobs that are consistent with their own entrepreneurial spirit, where the government is not the single largest employer, but rather the facilitator of the economic growth. We will see our children being able to land jobs with titles that have not yet been created, and being able to land jobs not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the region and throughout our global hemisphere. PNM people, Vision 2030 is about you. It is about you. It is about me. It is about us achieving the goals that we have set out for ourselves and our children, and living in a place where housing is affordable, where efficient and reliable public transport is easily available, where the air and sea bridges between Trinidad and Tobago function easily and effectively. It is the creation of a place where our public institutions will no longer be places where we dread visiting, but places marked by a high degree of efficiency, customer-centric, and technology-driven. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun moving in that direction. We have already begun the automation of the licensing department. Already, you can obtain your passport efficiently. You can obtain your birth certificate quickly. Our vision, ladies and gentlemen, is to see a Trinidad and Tobago that we all dream about. My friends, one of the lessons that I have learned over the years, and one which has carried me, is that wherever we find ourselves, we should always aspire to leave it better than we met it. How far we go in this life depends on us being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak, and resistant to the strong. This is important because someday in our lives, we would have been one of them, either young, aged, striving, tolerant, weak, or strong. This is important because Vision 2030 sets out to create a society that is inclusive, a society that is progressive, a society that pays attention to the least amongst us.
All right, and there you have it. So, of course, well, the ball is in your court now to decide if you believe or not to believe. That is the question. All right, so that brings us to the end of our program this afternoon. We're going to continue taking a look at the UNC into elections as well, building up to the grand day on the 26th of November. Stay tuned for that and so much more right here on Cloud.Nine on ACT and The Voice. I am Sheldon Yearwood. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you.